So today we're going to be doing a vegan sausage patty taste test. These are all the sausage patties that I could find near me. I have the Impossible. Now the Impossible has a savory and a spicy. I prefer spicy stuff, but for this taste test I chose the savory. The Morningstar original sausage patties. They do have another one that I really like, the jumbo ones. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find them again. They used to carry them at Meijer, and they've been out of stock of them for a couple of weeks, so they haven't been back in. Hopefully they're going to bring them back because I really like those. I have the Gardein Ultimate Plant-Based Breakfast Sausage and Original. I have the Jack and Annie's Jackfruit Sausage Patties. I have the Nature's Find Meatless Fry Breakfast Patties. So these are actually made with mushroom protein. Pretty cool. And then Beyond Breakfast Sausage, the regular. I think they also have a spicy, but as I said for the Impossible, I got the original just to keep it fair and square. So we're going to air fry all of these actually because that's my preferred method. And then I'm going to taste test them all plain Jane. All of these are going to be turned into breakfast sandwiches for my family to consume. So it's going to be, it's kind of like taste test slash accidental meal prep. So let's get started. First, we're starting with the Gardein Ultimate Plant-Based Breakfast Sausage in the Morningstar Farms Original Sausage Patty. And these are what they really look like. So this is the Gardein, and these are the Morningstar. So the Gardein are much smaller. They're also juicier. That's what they look like on the inside. And the Morningstar is a little bit more dry. And that's what they look like. Since we're doing a breakfast themed taste test, I'm going to be in my pajamas today. So we're actually going to talk macros this time because a lot of these are like for breakfast meal prep. So I'm going to be talking about what they have. Alright, so the Gardein, so it says for 2 patties, it's 170 calories, 13 grams of protein. It's got 10 grams of fat and 6 carbs. So there's that. Not a whole lot of protein, honestly. Now the Morningstar, it's 1 patty, but I'm going to math and do it as if it was 2. So 80 calories per patty, so that's 160 calories for 2 patties. 3 grams of fat, so 6 grams of fat. So for 2 patties, you're getting 160 calories, 6 grams of fat, 10 carbs, so that is 4 more carbs than the Gardein, but significantly less fat and even less calories. But the most impressive thing is it'll be 18 grams of protein for 2 patties versus the little bit that you get in the Gardein, only 13. So that's quite a big difference. So this is more protein heavy. This one has more fat, hence to be why it's so much juicier. All right, now let's do the taste test. We'll go and start with the Morningstar, I think. It's honestly what I expected. It's got that. I was never much of like a sausage girl. Even for a breakfast sandwich, I usually would just get egg and cheese. I wouldn't get bacon or sausage or anything. But it's got that like sausagey chew. It's not bad. Like I said, it is a little dry. But I would put this on a sandwich. I wouldn't eat it just by itself. So I think that really doesn't matter as much. Now let's try the Gardein. So it is juicier, but I actually don't think I like that very much. It's got more flavor. So it's got more flavor than the Morningstar. It is juicier. I don't know if I like that. I'm sure a lot of people would. And they're so small. like comparatively, it's a dripping as I'm holding it, but comparatively how much smaller this is to this one. I don't even know if I would have something small enough to put that on. Maybe like one of my little biscuits or something. I don't know. I think taste-wise, the Guardian's better. I think most people would like the Guardian one better out of these two. I actually prefer the Morningstar, not just because it's not as juicy, which is a little off-putting to me, but because of the macros and for my uses, I would say I would go with the Morningstar on this one. All right, so next we are doing the Impossible and Beyond. Okay, and these are what they look like. So the Beyond is the slightly smaller, the Impossible is larger. Now cut in half. And that is the Beyond. And this is the Impossible. All right, so it appears upon just visually inspecting these that the Beyond is a little bit drier, the Impossible is a little bit juicier. We're gonna check macros now because I'm curious. I haven't looked at these. So the Beyond, 2 cooked patties is a serving. So it has a cooked and an uncooked calories and stuff, which I think is interesting. Very interesting. So 180 calories for 2, 12 grams of fat. We have 6 grams of carbs and 11 grams of protein. Not a lot of protein compared to the Morningstar. The Morningstar is still killing it on the protein game. So the Impossible only has the 1 patty serving, so I'm just going to go ahead and double it. So 1 patty is 110 calories, so 220 calories for 2 patties. 14 grams of fat, which is, I think, our highest so far. Let me check. No. Yes. Impossible has the most fat so far. 8 grams of carbs and 12 grams of protein. So 1 gram more than the Beyond, but a lot more calories and fat. So it's like, take it or leave it. So far the Morningstar is still killing it in the protein macro game. It's got the least amount of calories with the most amount of protein. So let's taste test this now because I'm so curious. We're going to start with the Beyond. So this is exactly what I expect when I'm eating a sausage patty. It's like right on for the texture, the flavor. It's right there. I think that is the closest that I've had so far to a sausage patty. Now we're going to try the Impossible. So similar to the Beyond as far as flavor goes. It does taste sausagey. The texture of the Beyond I like better. It's more like, it's got more bite to it. This one is obviously got more fat in it, so it has a lot more, it's a little softer, it's a little juicier. I think out of these two, I prefer the Beyond. I think a lot of people would like the Impossible just because of the fattiness in it, but I actually really like the texture of the Beyond on this one. All right, and last but not least, we're trying the more interesting styles. So we have a jackfruit sausage patty from Jack and Annie's and a mycelium, so that's mushroom sausage patty from Nature's Find. And these are what they look like. So the Jack and Annie's are quite large. The biggest we've had so far. These are more like for like a big sandwich. And these are the Nature's Find. And then what they look like on the inside. So this is the mushroom one. Okay. And this is the jackfruit one. Interesting. All right, so let's talk the macros first. So Jack and Annie's, for one patty, these are pretty large, but to be true to form, we need to do it too. But these are quite large. I would say you would only need one. But for two patties would be 240 calories, 16 grams of fat. We have 10 grams of carbs and 10 grams of protein. So I think that might be the lowest protein. Yeah, that is the lowest grams of protein by far, with, I believe, the most calories. But these are also much bigger than the other ones too, so keep that in mind. So now the mushroom one. And this one already has it set up for two patties for me. 130 calories for two patties. That's really good. 8 grams of fat, 6 grams of carbs, and only 9 grams of protein. So this mycelium one actually has the least amount of protein for all of these. This one is the least amount of protein, less than 10 grams. It's only got 9 grams. But that being said, only 130 calories, which I think is the least amount of calories out of all of these. Yeah. Even less than the Morningstar, which for two patties would be 160. So the mycelium has the least amount of calories, but also the least amount of protein. So keep that in mind. All right, now let's do the taste test. The mycelium one. I've had all of these, by the way, but I've never tried them just straight up like this. I am not gonna bullcrap you, okay? So I actually really liked these when I put them on a croissant sandwich, but eating them straight up like this, no. So texturally, it's weird. Like, it's got the chunks that I would expect in like a sausage patty like this, but the flavor, it tastes earthy. It tastes like mushrooms. Like, it's earthy. And I don't hate mushrooms, but that amount of earthiness just straight up on its own, like when I put it on a sandwich, I didn't notice it, but eating it like this, no. All right, let's move on to the Jack and Annie's. Very thin, but very large. Very interesting. It's slightly sweeter than the other ones I've tried. I don't hate the texture, but the sweetness is a bit off-putting for me because I'm not a sweet breakfast sausage gal. Some people like those sweet, savory breakfast sandwiches. That is not me. I think it's better than the mycelium one. But like I said, on a breakfast sandwich, I probably wouldn't notice a difference. So unfortunately, I'm not a fan of either of these, but if I had to say, I would say the Jack and Annie's is better. So that concludes the sausage patty taste test. What a wonderful morning. But let's talk about my favorites and my least favorites. So top of the top for me is gonna be split, because flavor wise, it's the Beyond. I would say if I'm going just for flavor alone and I don't care about the macros, the Beyond sausage patties are where they're at. Now they do have a spicy, which I like better. Same with the Impossible. They also have a spicy, which I like better. But for just a straight up sausage patty, just normal, I would say the Beyond wins. If we're talking macros exclusively, I think the Morningstar has it, and it doesn't taste bad, and the texture is not bad. So if you're trying to like hit a certain protein goal, or you're trying not to eat too many calories, or watching your fat content, or whatever have you. The Morningstar has the best macros out of all of these. Like, the mycelium has the least amount of calories, but the Morningstar, sorry, there's cats attacking me. The Morningstar has slightly more, but far more protein than the mycelium one does. So get down. So if I was to say I was going for macros alone, I would go for the Morningstar. Now my least favorites. So I'm gonna have to say I really didn't like the mycelium one. Like I said, I've had it before on a sandwich and it was fine. But once I have it by itself, it's very earthy, and I don't really like that for that sort of purpose. Like, I like mushrooms, but I would never just eat mushrooms like that. So that was my least favorite out of all of these. I would say the Jack and Annie's was probably my... See, I don't know, because I didn't like the Gardein that much either. I think I would say I preferred the Jack and Annie's over the Gardein, just because the Gardein was a little bit too greasy for me, a little bit too juicy. I know I'm not really into that, but that does it for this taste test, guys, and I hope you really enjoyed it. I know I did, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!